flower? Yes, ovary, style, stigma, these all are the parts of the flower, but how can we define the flower? Generative part of the plant, okay.
Produces fragrance
Fragrance smell, okay. Colors, okay. Yes, it's a reproductive organ of the plant. Good. And another, see, the plants can be classified into two groups, cryptogams and phanerogames. Cryptogams means non-flowering plants or seedless plants, in that no flowers are formed. So no flower, this indicates no fruit, no seeds. Yes, we say that gametes are directly fused and then produce the new plant, we say like that. But phanerogames means flowering plants. And in that flowering plants, the flowers are developed, and these flowers are reproductive organ of the plant. But one word, flower is contractile. Flower is contractile shoot, or we say that contractile stem. Okay? Another point, reproductive organ of plant. Okay, we can do the first diagram of the typical flower. And here typical flower means bisexual flower. Here calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, all are there. First I can give you the each and every information of each and every part of the flower. Fine? So first you draw it. Draw. complicated?
No, sir.
Complicated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, you can make a practice for this. You can do the practice in a such a way. You draw these diagram 10 times. Wait, listen. You draw the diagram 10 times, 5 times with labeling, and 5 times only you draw the diagram without label. So the main aim for this is that 5 times when you draw the diagram with the labeling, then you can easily understand each and every part of the flower known as which name. And then remaining 5 times diagram, you can make a practice to draw the diagram faster as much as possible earlier. Clear? So you can make a practice for that, okay? And if I will ask the question of this chapter, I will ask this question. That draw only labeled diagram of the typical flower. 3 marks. Okay? At that time, minimum in 2 to 3 minutes, you can draw the diagram with labeling. Fast. Fine? So, you make practice for that, then you are able to do that. See, in the typical flower, we define the flower in this way. Okay? Now let us discuss the flower in detail. Here, this is bisexual flower. Here, the floral axis means we can hold the flower with the rod-like structure. With the rod-like structure through which we can hold the flower, it is known as peduncle. Okay, we can now say that peduncle. Another word pedicel will come also there. Later on I will explain you. Okay. So peduncle is nothing but known as floral axis. And on the tip of the peduncle, the broad, strange-like structure, it is known as thalamus. See here, this is the thalamus of the flower, and in our brain also thalamus there. Okay? And this thalamus consists all the walls. There are 4 walls in the flower. The outermost wall known as calyx. Second is corolla. Third is androecium. And innermost center portion is known as gynoecium. All the walls are arranged in wall manner on this thalamus. Okay? So here there are 4 walls. In the typical flower, 4 walls are there. First, that is outermost calyx, okay, and the unit of calyx is known as sepal. I hope you know this. Let me clear this calyx. Anyone, can you tell me about this calyx? What is the function? How it looks like? I think it was there in the 8th chapter of science, 10th standard. So many sepals. See, the unit of the calyx known as sepal. So many sepals are united together and in the wall manner. This is known as calyx. Okay? So calyx consists unit, that is sepal. It is greenish in color. It is greenish in color, but no photosynthesis. Photosynthesis cannot occur through this calyx because it has no stomata. Stomata nothing. Yes, it is greenish in color, but what is the function of calyx? Anyone? What is the function of calyx?
Protect immature flower.
Okay, protect the immature flower. Okay, good. Nice try. Another? Another point? Any other? Calyx protects other walls of the flower in bud form. If you know, each and every flower, it is in the initiated stage in the bud form. And this bud form, it is maintained by the calyx. So many sepals are united together and form the calyx, and in this calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, these 3 walls are protected. And when the sepals are free from each other and gradually all the walls come out, this is known as flowering. Flowering from the bud. Fine. So inside that corolla, androecium and gynoecium, which are protected there, they all comes out and this is known as flowering. So calyx unit is known as sepal. Okay, calyx protect the other walls of the flower except this calyx. It protects all the walls of the flower in the bud form. It is greenish in color, but no chance of the photosynthesis. Then, second is corolla. Next to the calyx, second wall is known as corolla. The unit of the corolla known as petal. આપણે આને ફૂલની પાંદડી કહીએ. Okay? Floret. We say that floret of the flower. Floret of the flower. Pandri. It consists different types of the fragrance and different types of the coloration, and due to the attractive fragment as well as attractive arrangement in a such a way, as a result it attracts the insects for the pollination. Sometimes the flower consists edible pollen grain as well as nectar. Nectar is nothing but known as a flower juice. So some insects visit the flower to take this nectar as well as to eat the pollen grain, and along with this phenomenon, okay, on the body of the insect, the pollen grain is stick with it and helpful for the pollination. Okay, so this is about the corolla. Third is known as third wall. Okay, please all of you, I can clear right now from out to in. I am discussing here from outside towards inside. Okay, so sometime if the question will be asked, explain the walls of the flower from inside to outside, you have to first explain gynoecium, then androecium, then corolla, and then calyx. Okay, read the question and then explain it perfectly. Third wall is known as androecium. Here, actually, when you see this diagram, I drawn this diagram, the longitudinal section of the flower. I drawn this diagram, longitudinal section of the flower. I cut the flower in the mid, from the mid region, and from one side how it's look like. Okay, so this is the two-dimensional view. So here, calyx there, two calyx I have shown you. Fine. So all the calyx are attached here, and on the back side also. Okay, if you want to imagine that, think about the hibiscus flower, જાસૂદ. એમાં 5 calyx હોય and 5 petal હોય. Okay, when hibiscus flower is there in the bud form, 5 calyx are united together and all the walls are protected inside. But when 5 calyx separate from each other, 5 sepals separate from each other, 5 petals comes out and androecium and gynoecium comes out. After growth we can see it easily. Okay, so this calyx is attached to the thalamus also. All the units of corolla. All the petals are also united or attached to the thalamus. Third is known as androecium. The unit of the androecium known as stamen. Androecium is known as male reproductive organ of the flower. Okay, so here the proximal part of the androecium or stamen, this is the filament. Actually, this filament is connected to the thalamus. So this is the ovary. Just behind that ovary, the filament is go through it, pass through it outside, and it is attached to the thalamus. So proximal part. Proximal means naziklu, near part. Near part of the androecium or stamen, this is known as filament. Okay, filament is connected to the distal fertile part. Distal fertile part. It is known as anther. And inside this anther, pollen grains are developed. So initially, the filament and connective. How can we define the connective? The filament is connected to the anther. Filament is connected to the anther. It is known as connective. So filament and connective both are the sterile part, sterile, infertile part. No function of this filament as well as connective in fertilization process. So now you are thinking about that. What is the function of it? Filament connect the anther. Filament connected to the thalamus in such a way that it moves the anther in such a way that anther release the pollen grain for pollination. This is the main function of the anther. Okay? We can't see the movement. We can't see the movement in plants, but plant perform the movement. Movements are very, very slow in plants. Fine? And that's why I'll differentiate this topic in the 20th chapter, that plant performs the movement, whereas animal performs locomotion as well as movement both, and we are able to see. Just for example, the branch can be moved in the one way. Yes, we say that previously branch is there in this position, but later on the position of the branch can be altered. So plant perform the movement, but we are unable to say it. Okay, so filament can change the position of the anther in such a way, fine, to facilitate the pollination. And over the anther, just inside the anther, immature pollen grains are there, and every time of the pollination, this anther form the pollen grain, release outside, and through the pollination, it is shifted from the one plant to another plant or in the same flower also. Now the two questions are there. If the pollen grain is shifted on the stigma of the same flower, it is known as self-pollination. And if it is shifted to the another flower of the another plant, we say that it is cross-pollination. But one thing I want to clear this. Self-pollination, here in the two processes are there. One, that you had heard right now. What? The pollen grain is shifted to the stigma of the same flower. So I am talking about the bisexual condition in the flower. Okay, just for example, you think about that. Here, the anther become mature. It releases the pollen grain. It is shifted on the stigma of this flower. This is known as self-pollination. Okay, and this is about the bisexual condition of the flower. But, is it clear? But, in some plants, at different position, unisexual flowers are also located there. in some plants at a different position. Unisexual flowers are also located. Just for example, in the maize plant. Maize plant in that, on the top of that plant, male flowers are there. On the bottom of that plant, female flowers are there. So how we can define the self-pollination? Listen it carefully, understand it. Okay? If the pollen grain is shifted to the stigma of the same flower, or the pollen grain of the one flower, listen, pollen grain of the one flower is shifted to the another flower of the same plant. Of the same plant. This is known as self-pollination. And if I can use the word different plant, then it is known as cross-pollination. If self-pollination occurs between the two flowers of the same plant, mechanically it is cross-pollination. Mechanically it is cross-pollination. Why? Because to shift this pollen grain from the one flower to the another flower, we require vector at anyhow. Either wind or water or insect or animal, whichever. But genetically it is self-pollination. Why? Because the pollen grain is of the same plant. Pollen grain is of the same plant. Okay? So this is about the endoecium. Fourth wall, inner wall, innermost one. So everybody clear the parts of the anther, function of it? Huh? Whatever points you want to write, then write in your own manner. Fine. Actually, this discussion is of the 12th standard also. In 12th standard, only one part is remaining there. Sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Only one chapter is there in the 12th standard of that plant. Fine. In that, all this information will come there. Okay? Okay, the last part. Innermost part of the flower, the center part of the flower is known as gynoecium. Gynoecium is also known as female reproductive part of the flower or of the plant. But see, in androecium, proximal part is infertile. Filament and connective are sterile, whereas anther is fertile. But in gynoecium it is in the opposite way. Proximal part, it is known as ovary. Proximal part, the swollen part, it is known as ovary. Ovary consists ovule. The swollen part, bag-like structure is known as ovary. And inside the ovary, ovule is there, and inside the ovule, ovum is there or egg cell is there. But ovule is connected to the ovary through placenta. Okay, through placenta. So here the proximal part of the carpel or pistil, it is known as fertile part. Then the long tube-like structure is known as style, and on the tip of it, stigma is there. So stigma is nothing but it is the platform of the pollen grain. Okay, so always pollen grain is coming in contact with the stigma through the pollination. So this is about the gynoecium. So in the gynoecium proximal part, ovary, ovule, ovum, placenta all are fertile part, whereas style and stigma are sterile part. Okay, so here I can stop now. Fine, remaining thing we will discuss in the next lecture.